Welcome to the Summer Food Service Program Basics, Evaluating Areas and Selecting Sites training hosted by Oregon Department of Education Child Nutrition Programs. The Summer Food Service Program will be referred to as SFSP for the duration of this training. In this training, we will review information on what to look for when selecting program sites, operating limitations, the sponsor site agreement, and requirements to meet before opening sites. Confusion and waste result when two or more sponsors compete for the same sites or target children in the same geographical area. Since such an overlap in service conflicts with program objectives, ODE-CNP usually approves only one sponsor to serve an area. When determining which of the competing sponsors will serve an area, the National School Lunch Act requires ODE-CNP to give priority to local school food authority sponsors, government and private nonprofit organization sponsors that have successfully operated the SFSP in a prior year, new government sponsoring organizations, and then new private nonprofit organization sponsors. Sponsors should be able to explain why differences in the population of children they intend to serve require multiple sites in close proximity to each other. Sites may also be close in proximity, but separated by a physical barrier that limits access, such as a busy highway. It is important that a sponsor adequately evaluate the needs and resources of the area or areas it hopes to serve before making final plans for site operations. In particular, a sponsor should try to determine the type and size of the program that would best meet the needs of the community. As part of the inquiry into the community's needs, a sponsor may contact parks and recreation centers about their summer recreation programs, youth organizations, including YMCAs, Boys and Girls Clubs, and Scout troops about their summer plans, the local food bank or pantry to ask about opportunities to partner in the community, minority referral sources and relevant minority organizations in the prospective site area, local parent groups to determine the level of parental support, other groups and organizations in the area that may be planning to participate in the SFSP, and local church or faith-based organizations about their summer programs. After sponsors have made these initial contacts in any area or areas they hope to serve, they will have an easier time evaluating different potential sites and deciding on the size of their operations. Sponsors will have to make three especially important decisions. Sponsors must decide how many sites they will sponsor during the summer, determine how many children they will serve at each site they sponsor, and select the particular sites where they will serve meals to children, closely examining the circumstances if they plan to have several sites in the same neighborhood. Taking particular care in making these decisions before programs start may prevent problems that could arise later. Because sponsors must assume administrative and financial responsibility for total SFSP operations at all sites under their supervision, they must be certain that a site can offer a quality meal service before they decide to sponsor that site. Sponsors should not select sites where site supervisors have had poor performance record in past summers or where supervisors were unable to institute timely corrective action. In addition, depending on the nature of these problems, ODE-CNP may choose not to approve such sites for the program. Sponsors are responsible for choosing the most appropriate facilities available for food service. If sponsors prefer on-site meal preparation, they should visit all sites to ensure that sites are properly equipped with appropriate facilities and equipment for meal preparation and service for the anticipated number of children, ensure that sites will be appropriately staffed both in quantity and skill level to utilize available equipment to meet anticipated demands for meal preparation and service, and check that sites can meet state and local public health standards and have or can obtain any required health department certification. The sanitation or health inspector from the local health department can assist in complying with state and local rules and regulations. Because of the many variables at different sites, the kinds of equipment that will be needed will vary based on the number of children being served and the type of menu being prepared. If a sponsor plans to have the meals prepared or delivered by a food service management company, school food service, or a central kitchen, the food preparation, holding, and delivery capabilities should be checked. SFSP sponsors are required to enter into an agreement with the state agency that their sites will maintain proper sanitation and health standards in conformance with all applicable state and local laws and regulations. Some SFSP facilities may not be required to meet all state and local health and safety requirements, for example, those that do not prepare food on site. However, an SFSP sponsor may not be declared by the state agency exempt from state and local health and safety requirements. Only the state agency that enforces these requirements may exempt sponsors from documenting adherence to the full requirements. This exemption should be documented in writing by that relevant state agency. Regardless of an exemption, there must be some level of health and safety standards in place to ensure that adequate facilities are available to prepare and store meals. Traditionally, SFSP sites are located in schools, playgrounds, parks, faith-based organizations, community buildings, or similar places. Mobile feeding may provide the flexibility sponsors need to reach children who do not have access to such traditional sites. In rural areas where children may live in isolated locations, access to meal service sites operated by schools, parks and recreation departments, and private nonprofit organizations is often limited. In urban areas, violence and traffic safety concerns are examples of issues that may limit viable options for site locations. In mobile feeding, the sponsor delivers meals to an area using a route with a series of stops at approved sites in the community. The meal service must take place on approved days, and the sponsor must serve reimbursable meals during approved service times. For mobile feeding sites, extra precautions should be established to ensure the safety of the food being provided to children. Proper holding temperatures must be maintained along the entire meal delivery route, and state and local health and safety standards must be met. For more information, please see the Mobile Feeding Model training created by ODE-CNP. Concerns for the physical health and safety of the children, lack of comfortable feeding areas, and consideration of extreme weather conditions must be addressed by ODE-CNP when a site is being approved. Although all SFSP sites are not required to have an alternative temperature-controlled site, sponsors should have a contingency plan for dealing with extreme weather conditions such as thunderstorms, excessive heat, wildfires, and/or poor air quality. For outdoor sites, this plan could include discontinuing meal service when weather conditions make being outside unsafe for children. Alternatively, sponsors can identify a shady spot or erect a tent for extremely hot days, or make arrangements with the housing community to use an air-conditioned lobby or community room on hot days. Pending waiver approval from the USDA, the demonstration project allows service of non-congregate meals at certain outdoor summer meal sites experiencing excessive heat and/or poor air quality. Under the demonstration project, SFSP and Seamless Summer Option, SSO, of the NSLP sponsors operating approved outdoor meal sites without temperature-controlled alternative sites may operate as non-congregate sites on days when the area is experiencing excessive heat. Non-congregate meal service shall be permitted only on days when the National Weather Service, NWS, has issued a heat advisory, an excessive heat warning, or an excessive heat watch for the area in which an approved outdoor meal site is located. According to program meal service requirements, sponsors should assess how much supervision will be necessary to ensure proper program operations. These supervisory needs will differ from site to site. In addition, sponsors have to decide how many sites you will administer. This decision will depend greatly on the need for a site in the area, your administrative capabilities as a sponsor, and the size of the programs at the sites. Sponsors must be sure to plan to operate programs that are consistent with the size of your administrative staff and the extent of your expertise. A small sponsor with limited administrative experience should carefully place limits on the number of sites where it will offer meals. All sponsors may be approved for a maximum of 200 sites and a maximum total average daily attendance at all sites of 50,000 children. ODE CNP may approve exceptions if the sponsor can demonstrate that it has the capabilities of managing a program larger than these limits. Sponsors need to determine the maximum number of children who can be served at any of their sites. When estimating the number of children to be served at each site, consider the site's administrative capabilities, the physical capacity of each site for serving children, and the number of children living in the area of each site who are likely to participate. The importance of estimating as accurately as possible the number of children each site will serve cannot be overemphasized. Adequate program planning requires an accurate estimate of the number of children that will be served so that the total potential reimbursement can be calculated. For new sites, an excellent way to estimate the potential number of participating children is to contact schools and other children's organizations in the areas of the sites to determine the number of needy children within a short walking distance of the site. To reduce waste, meal orders should be adjusted after the program starts if fewer children than anticipated participate. For returning sites, participation from the previous summer normally provides an accurate estimate of participation for the current summer. According to program requirements, ODE CNP must set limits on the number of meals a site may serve to children for meal reimbursement on any operating day. This limit is referred to as the site cap. Site caps are required for all vended and self-prep sites by program regulations. A sponsor may not claim reimbursement for meals served to children at any site in excess of the approved level of meal service if one has been established. Therefore, a sponsor may not claim reimbursement for meals served to children at any site in excess of the cap. Site caps will be added by sponsors on each site information sheet in CNP Web. Sponsors may use the fire marshal site capacity as the site cap if applicable. Children are drawn to locations that offer educational, enrichment, and recreational activities, as well as sites that provide meals. Therefore, we strongly encourage sponsors to select sites or plan programs in order to offer such organized activities. The following are examples: local libraries, swimming pools, faith-based organizations or churches that offer religious study day camp sessions, schools that offer various activities, boys and girls clubs, programs at colleges and universities, 4-H clubs, YMCAs, National Youth Sports programs, and year-round public service programs offered in the community. In addition, sponsors should determine whether there are any year-round public service programs in the community that might serve as sites. These sites usually have facilities that can be used for the meal service and have permanent staff. Although it is not encouraged, SFSP sites may charge a fee to participate in the activity portion of their programs. However, the fees must be reasonable and not restrict access for low-income children. Also, access to the meal service at open sites must always be free. Once sites are identified, it is important that area families are made aware of the site location and the availability of meals. Sponsors are encouraged to make use of FNS resources, including the Summer Meals Toolkit. This toolkit is designed for individuals and organizations interested in serving as summer meal champions in their communities at any level of program administration. The toolkit is web-based and includes 7 mini toolkits targeting specific audiences and topics. For example, the state toolkit is focused on state agencies administering USDA's summer meal programs. The Reaching Families Toolkit contains information to help organizations increase awareness about the availability of summer meals in their community. The Summer Meals Toolkit can be found at the link located in the description below this video. ODE CNP must ensure that SFAs inform eligible families of the availability and location of free meals for students when the regular school year ends. When sponsors have chosen their prospective sites, they must notify the health department in writing of all prospective site locations and arrange for prompt and regular trash removal. Sponsors must maintain a copy of the letter notifying the local health department of their intention to provide a food service at specific times at planned sites. Prior to approval, sponsors must visit new sites and any sites that had operational problems in the previous year. However, ODE CNP has the option to waive the pre-operational site visit requirement for experienced SFSP sponsors, CACFP sponsors, and SFAs participating in the NSLP or SBP and who are in good standing in these programs. These visits are to determine that the sites have the facilities to provide meal service for the anticipated number of children in attendance and the capability to conduct the proposed meal service. Sponsors should note the date of the pre-operational visit to each site and the name of the person who visited each site. When a sponsor applies for the SFSP, it will have to certify that all required site visits have been conducted. These pre-operational visits must not be confused with required site visits during the first 2 weeks of program operations. For more information on site visits and reviews, monitors should complete the Administering the Summer Food Service Program monitoring training. Sample forms are available on the ODE CNP SFSP website. If you have any additional questions that were not addressed today, please reach out to your assigned child nutrition specialist. Here's a short message from the Oregon Department of Education. ODE supports equity and excellence for every learner and seeks to work with school districts, education service districts, and community partners like you. We believe all children should have access to a high-quality, well-rounded learning experience. This institution is an equal opportunity provider. Thank you for taking this training. We hope you found it helpful.